what was it like back in the day? You got injured, you kept working. There was no taking time off back then.
Well, I was in a unique position. Once again, give all the credit in the world to Raven because Raven, without him, I probably would have went all the way into physicality and spots without psychology and no character, and my career would have been a lot shorter, and I wouldn't be sitting here today in the health or shape that I'm in at 51. So thank you again, Raven. I owe my career to that guy, but and my post career health to people like that that taught me. But yeah, I mean, it's the completely inverse. I got to think about it because it's so far removed. You kind of think, did that really happen? Was that really the era that I survived? Because I didn't thrive in it. I survived. Injuries were just a part of it in wrestling back then, and you were part of it too. You would get crucified for protecting yourself from a chair shot to the
That
head.
was that was
You would
brutal.
actually get
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
crucified if you did a back chair shot and no head shot. It's like, how am I supposed to sell a back shot, a chair shot to the back? You would get crucified. I think there was a time too in WWE where you would get fined for putting your hand up to take a chair shot early on.
Remember just during the Attitude Era alone, forget ECW, but they were swinging for the fences. I remember, what was it? Do you remember the clip with Ken Shamrock's on his
The
knees and The
face.
Rock comes? Oh my God, just terrible, terrible chair shots.
It is, but we didn't know. It's like everybody likes to look back with 2020 hindsight and
Right.
criticize all the talent. Even with the Nia Jax video that I just put up on the wrestling channel, they're like, well, you're the guy in ECW and you guys were so unsafe and this and that, which we always get that rap that all the stuff was Shane Douglas, who has a great podcast, by the way, check it out, says that was like the dessert. The main menu was the storylines and the work. And listen, if you're looking at a guy with Daisy Dukes and half shirt and saying that guy's dangerous, then you're not looking at enough talent on the roster. I was purely that's why I went to WWE because they saw me as entertainment. That's the only reason
Right.
I got there.
Right. What was the worst injury you ever saw in person?
Ever saw in person. Oh man, besides my own, because I saw that firsthand. Uh, I didn't see. I actually had left the building early when the draws thing happened, but that probably would have been that was the worst one I've ever heard of. And rest in peace to draws too. Um, the one I witnessed, the mass transit thing I witnessed from the locker room, that was probably the worst, not an injury, but just like something that was real violence, before us. That was very shocking to see.
You know, as you talk about draws, I did so that was a Tuesday night that he got hurt. I worked the Monday Night Raw taping, and Draws was just a great guy to chat with. And he was teaming with Albert at the time, and they kind of split them up for a little bit. And Draws was working with D'Lo, and Albert was working with the Big Show. And the Big Show did the only power bomb I've ever seen him do that night to Albert, and it was brutal because it's a 7 foot guy giving a 350-pound guy a power bomb, and it was hard. And I looked at Jaws, and I'm like, man, aren't you lucky you're not part of that feud? He's like,
Wow.
yeah, man. And then the next day, he
Oh
breaks his
man.
neck.
Did
Yeah,
you didn't live too far from him, right?
he was from Jersey. Yeah, I never knew exactly where he lived, but I know he was in the state.
You're more
Yeah,
towards central. I think he was South Jersey or something, or towards
yeah,
the shore, maybe. I'm not
I
sure about
believe
that.
so. Ever a time when you said to yourself, "This guy shouldn't go in the ring. He's concussed. He needs surgery. He needs this, but he doesn't want to lose his spot." Was there ever a specific instance that you can remember?
Well, there was guys I said shouldn't go to the ring that weren't concussed because they were just off it, like a Heidenreich and other people. They gave the concussions, they didn't take them. But yeah, there was times where I was worried about Spike, not in ECW, but WWE, because but that was his gimmick, taking these big falls and everything. And there was a couple of times where I could see he wasn't steady, and I would pull him aside and I'm like, dude, man, just please don't go out there or don't take this bump or whatever. And he just kind of smiled and he seemed fine. But I think Spike is a guy that, is kind of feeling it. Also, a great guy that ended up going into finance after wrestling and trying to make another life for himself. So I hope and pray that Spike's not feeling the effects. But you want to talk about a guy, he should definitely be part of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. And hopefully he's just happy, healthy, and like able to be cognizant and aware of his happiness at the same time. So he's always been a smart guy. So, I hopefully he is taking the precaution to make himself the best version of himself.
How did the office deal with injuries? You break your arm, like, were they rushing you back in the ring? Did they say, "Hey, can you still make the rest of your bookings, like, before surgery?" How did it work back then?
I think the best, if you ever want to watch a video, and I'm sure you talked to the guy, Maven has a great YouTube
Oh
channel.
god, I love
Just broke
Maven.
just broke 100,000 subscribers as we're recording this. So congratulations. I'm so proud of Maven, his journey. You talk about a guy that went to the highs, lows to the lows, and now working his way back up. I'm just happy to be able to see it. I talk to him almost every day. He just texted me before we got on. But Maven in the steroid video
Mhm.
explains the tap dance of the way the office talks to you. And it's a one-to-one analogy. So the injuries are the same thing. It's just kind of they're not telling you, but they're telling you. Yeah, you should get some rest. You should do this, and don't worry, this person will take your spot while you're gone, and you'll be back. And then you're like, whoa. I'm giving you just kind of broad examples, but the way they talk to you, it's that pause or that vague kind of we can't tell you, but we're gonna tell you. Like you said, like, hey, maybe you should talk to one of the boys about getting on that creatine that they're on. That's in the office. That's a business. You're you're basically, you voluntarily and you strive to go in there to go to WWE to be a meat puppet with an expiration date. We all know that, right? And I'm always amazed too that talent thinks, or at least they spend money and buy houses and cars and all these other things, like it's going to last forever. And it's not. Please, I wish the younger talent would know, man, let's just save all this money up because we're not going to make this. And we may not be physically able to work after we're done anyway. So I know it's a long answer, but I think Maven's channel with the steroid stuff explains the way the office tap dance around the answer to your question.